Do you believe? Yeah, sure I do. What do you mean? No. Do you believe in what's inside of you? Of course I do. I'm standing here doing it right now. Well, that's a question that I thought I answered a long time ago. You see, the old version of me said, yes, I believe in me. I'm showing up, I'm waking up, I'm going through the routine every single day. But what I believed in was a version of me that other people thought needed to exist to be successful in the world. You realize that my belief in me was what other people believed in me. So I ask you the question, do you believe? Believe in what? That's the question. Do you believe in you? You see, if you put a list of all of the things that you loved in the world together, and all of the people, where would you put your name on that list? Where would you put your passions, your goals, the things that you love, that little voice inside that's telling you, here's where your greatness lives? Where would you put that on your list? Because if it's not in the top 5, if it's not number 1, 2, or 3, chances are your belief exists somewhere else on that list. And that's okay. If you're looking to raise a family and you're living for your children, putting those children above your, that's one thing. But I'm talking about the belief in you to be the best you can be, to reach the goals and the dreams that sit so deeply inside of your heart that you've ignored them since childhood to become what someone else believes you should be. I remember sitting back in my junior high classroom. I was lucky enough to see the train go by every day, carrying people to and from work. And in those moments, I realized I did not believe I belonged on that train. I did not believe that I should be going back and forth, shuttled to work like I was some tuna fish in a can, riding up and down tracks, like I was traveling from one circus stop to the next to perform in another town. It didn't make sense to me. I didn't believe that was for me. But as I got older, I listened to what other people believed was for them and started to think maybe that's what I should do. Because the dream that I thought I had inside didn't match what I was being taught in the world around me. In fact, the first time I saw a dream that I could believe in was the first time I saw Les Brown speak. See, I was lucky enough to grow up in a family, in a house where my father was always looking to strive to do more. And I remember one night coming home from school, being told to put on slack shirts and a tie, and I had no idea. I thought I was going to church, and I didn't want to go to church. I mean, what kid wants to go to church in that young age? But I thought I was going to church, and my father said, no, this isn't quite church. And I walked into a room, and we sat towards the back because we just got there when we could. And a man comes on stage, and the first thing I remember hearing him say, "You have greatness inside of you." And I said, this is not church. And I proceeded to hear Les Brown speak for the very first time in my life. And I knew I was hooked. In fact, I knew I was hooked when he told a story of being hired to speak at a plant that makes toilet bowl seats. And he said, how do I motivate people to make toilet bowl seats? And I listened to him explain the story of him believing in himself, that he could stand up and speak and motivate people that seemingly had nothing in common with him, until he remembered that the belief in his story could impact the world and the people around him to make them better at what they did. That is when I started to realize that's what I want to be. But I didn't believe. I didn't wake up every day wanting to speak to better someone, or at least I thought I wasn't. But what that sparked inside was a storyteller, someone that was able to look at the worst circumstances and see that was there for my growth, to be able to transition pain into growth, to be able to transition hardship into abundance over and over again. That was my belief. And I thought that if I could do that and work a good job and live my life, that would be enough. Unfortunately, that was nowhere close to enough. At some point in time, I was lucky enough to meet Les Brown, to shake his hand and say, thank you, sir, for giving me the inspiration to believe in me. then I was lucky enough to speak in front of Les Brown and be critiqued, and then eventually be introduced by Les Brown for a speech that I gave. And in those moments, I realized I didn't just believe in the corporate version of me that existed. I was now living a dream that was created when I was a kid. I was now standing in a place that was so far from where I dreamed I could ever go that I thought I would never let go. I was standing next to a mentor, to a hero of mine that pulled me out of that back of the classroom, back of the seat, put me in the front row mentally and said, I'm talking to you, young man. You have greatness inside of you. And every time I hit the lowest point, or what I thought was the lowest point, I remember hearing that voice tell me I have greatness inside. I just need to believe. And I remember talking to Les Brown after speaking, and he said, Chris, you have greatness inside. I believe in you. You just need to believe in you. And years went by, and I didn't actually believe in myself. I told the story of how Les Brown once introduced me. I told the story about how that was the shining point of my life, and I learned to speak from Les Brown, and I was going to take that skill and go forth and be successful in the corporate world. You know, it's really interesting what happens when you open up a can of worms and you find out your true calling. All I discovered when I went back to the corporate world was that I could no longer exist and function in the way that I did prior to that situation where I got to meet and train with my mentor. Because all that happened was I found little rises up, and then I would get knocked down by circumstances and events outside of my control that really just couldn't do anything. In this particular circumstance, there were car accidents that gave me concussions that stopped me from working. And I thought, after the last car accident, I remember sitting there. My seat hit my head. It wasn't a very devastating accident, but I sat there in those moments, trying to remember what and who I was. But there was this voice. It was almost like the computer went off and it turned back on. And as the computer turned on, I'm saying, what am I going to do? And there was this voice inside reminding me, this is on the path to your greatness. Reminding me that life is happening for me in this very moment. This concussion, this accident that subsequently ended my career doing what I loved and thought I was there to do, what I thought I was placed on this earth to do, was suddenly taken away. But you know what was left? Belief in self. Belief that I should be transitioning into the next stage in life. But there is also the fear that comes along with that. The fear of jumping into the unknown. The fear of jumping out of the nest, having never spread your wings to see if you can fly. The reality is, you don't know if you can fly until you start cruising on the way down, extending those wings. Because you have been given the gift to fly when you choose to step into your dreams. You see, at that point in time, all bridges, all way of abandoning a path forward were removed. And since then, I've tried to avoid that. I've tried to step away and start other businesses, start other things that I thought I was passionate about. But each step, I was reminded that my gift is not to go chase and run away from the strength and skills that I have. It's to grow and become better. It's to believe that I'm here to speak. It's to believe that that little vision that was gifted to that young version of me, to say thank you for remembering that moment. Thank you for remembering the view of what it was like to look at Les Brown from that stage, because the motivation that he instilled in you that night changed your trajectory forward forever. Because when you decide to believe in you, there's nothing that's going to stop you from teaching, speaking, mentoring, and pushing others to grow, because the belief inside of yourself is so much bigger and so much grander than you allow yourself to feel. In fact, when you feel the butterflies in your stomach, hesitating because something seems scary, that's you just being disconnected from the belief that exists really where you're standing in the future. Allow the future you to thank the present you for taking action that allowed you to step into that future. Because I'm thankful to that younger version of me that decided to listen that night, to be inspired, to find the path forward that exists for myself. Because without that version and that moment of the little boy version of myself, there'd be no opportunity to grow into the version that needs to happen. So as you stand here and look at your life, understand that the belief in you will change your trajectory forward. Understand that there's something that's inside of you that's been speaking to you since you were a kid, that is your mission, your path, something that is inside that you're so good at that can change the world around you from the moment you start doing it. And yeah, you may not see money start falling from the ceiling in that moment, but you can feel the growth in your love in your heart, knowing you're stepping into your greatness. Knowing that if you believe wholeheartedly, there is not an obstacle that will stop you from reaching your goals. Understanding that the belief that exists inside is the belief that will carry you when there is no belief in the world around you. Trust me, your belief in you is something not anyone else can have in the way that you truly have it for yourself. So I ask you again, do you actually believe? Are you taking the actions that align with that belief? Because if you are, then yeah, you can say you believe. But if you're not improving every day and taking little small steps to get closer to that goal, to that dream, to that little version of you that needs to get out to be shared with the world, that's meant to have an impact to change the world around you, where are you believing? What are you believing? When are you believing? Because there's a whole world of gravestones, a whole world of cemeteries out there with people that said they believed but never took the action that aligned with that belief. There's so many people out there that are gone and buried with their beliefs still being held tight. Don't become one of those people. Become someone that allows your beliefs to be a thought that changes, that you cannot stop thinking until your belief system and your actions change to align with the goals that are inside. When you've got a dream inside, make that your belief that that's going to be your path forward. Because chances are, your belief that you're holding on to is a belief someone else had that doesn't align with the goals that you have for yourself. Keep believing, keep loving, keep finding the passion, the goal to carry on, to carry forward, to become a better version of you that exists in the future. Because that version of you is thanking you today, saying thank you for believing in me. Thank you for believing in that little person inside that's been trying to get out over and over again. Every failure was there to teach you that I was there trying to get out and become great. Every time you stumbled and fell but got up, it was me building greatness, because I am your future. Your belief in your future, me, is how you're going to survive today. It's how you're going to grow through the moment. It's how you're going to grow through your past. Because everything that you go through from this day forward, have the belief in the future version of you that exists somewhere, that you're taking a step closer, incremental little steps every day, bring you closer to where you're going to go. So it's time to believe. Not only is it time to believe, it's time to get up. It's time to stand up. It's time to align with that version of yourself that exists waiting for you to catch up in the glorious abundance that you have attracted in this world, in this life. You're not here to dwell in misery. You're not here to be angry and upset about the past, making it more of your future. You're here to believe in your calling, believe in your abundance, believe in the growth that exists inside of you, is who you are and how you'll get to the next level of where you're trying to go. You see, if you can't answer the question, yes, I believe in me because I'm putting that best version of me forward, then you're not truly able to love and appreciate other people, because you're looking at everyone else from a lesser, smaller version of yourself that you've outgrown a long time ago. Let go of that past, grow into your future, and thank your past self for doing the same to get you here today. We're all a product of our past. But if we allow that past to dictate our future, we'll never grow past today. That's the beauty of where your true abundance lies, is taking all of the lessons from the past and to give yourself a chance of changing and acquiring new lessons that project you into a future version of yourself that does not exist. To this day, I still remember a teacher from 8th grade saying, here's the number one lesson in life. Never lie to yourself. Because when you lie to yourself, you'll start believing those lies. Well, let me ask you a question. How many times have you lied to yourself about where you are. Telling yourself that you're successful when you're standing on the floor of someone else's house, of someone else's business, of someone else's worth that doesn't even align with happiness in your heart. Yes, you may be successful in someone else's world and someone else's dream, but is that success for you? Is that the success that's in your heart that's driving you to wake up every day? Are you waking up every day with excitement to put your feet on the floor, chasing the dreams that are in your heart? Are you resenting putting your feet on the floor to go walk into someone else's successful house and stand there and claim it as yours? That's the question you want to ask yourself. Are you living in your abundance, or are you living in the abundance someone else has told you that you can have? Because that abundance is never going to feel emotionally or spiritually correct inside. It's when you decide to trust and believe in you is when you can take yourself to that next level. Wake up every day, put your feet on the floor with the belief of what's inside of your heart, not the belief in what other people have told you you have to have. Trust in yourself, trust in your belief, and know that the floor that you're on is just a product of yesterday's belief. Your belief is a thought you just keep thinking. Change your thoughts, change your belief, and take action that aligns with your thoughts, your beliefs, and your goals. And every day, one small incremental action will become a habit that changes who you are to the very core of your being. Find those habits and change who you are to align with your goals. That's what you're here for. That's your mission. So I ask you, do you believe? Because if you do believe, you're taking actions that align with the belief that you're holding in your heart, whether you know it or not. So ask yourself, what is it that I believe in?